Calgary Flames fans, it's time for Flames Unfiltered. Entertaining and controversial hockey talk with your host, Brad Burud.
The 2-1 loss to the Habs. Dim the lights. The 4-2 loss to the Sens. Turn the lights off. Good evening and welcome to another edition of Flames Unfiltered. Wow, I wanted to so be pumped for this Montreal series, and I'm not. I'm not at all. You know, is it the fact that we underachieved so much, or that have we been, as Flames fans, getting used to getting ready for the playoffs? I don't know. This is episode 96. I am the host of the show, Brad Burud. April 21st, 2021. The Senators killed our hopes 6 times this year. Huh. As I watched the game the other night, I asked myself a question. Do we overanalyze this team? Being Flames fans and watching every single second of every single game, do we see things that when we watch, let's say, Florida play Dallas, we don't see because we don't watch them on a nightly basis? The reason I say this is because I watch other teams play, and I feel like there's so much more offensive talent. I feel like there's so much more depth talent, and just those leaky, poor decision plays don't happen as frequently. Now, partially, I think it's because we overanalyze our team and we watch them under a microscope every single night. And if we did that for, the New York Rangers, we probably would have the same critiques and frustrations. But it just seems like our deficiencies in this team are standing out more and more and more. And I think where we're at as Flames fans is our frustrations 3 years ago are sadly the same today. Gaudreau, inconsistencies, turnovers. Yeah, all frustrations. On the good side, it is golf season now. Shot the best round I've shot in, about 8-9 years today. And that feels good. A lot of years, or I shouldn't say a lot of years. I'm hoping for a lot of rounds in the 70s this year. So we'll see. We'll see. It's easier said than done sometimes. That's for damn sure. Big thanks goes out to our sponsor, shopnhl.com, Spark Hydrate, KT Tapes, Fanatics, Riders Eyewear, and AccuScore. Today's episode, we'll quickly, like ripping a Band-Aid off, talk about the Ottawa and Montreal games this past week. Then we'll discuss 3 opinions that I have that, may not be that popular, but they're still my opinions. Then our friend Nate Thomas joins the show, and we're going to have a much-needed Flames counseling session with Nate Thomas. And then we'll roll into some Flames news, talk about Lucic, the new arena, and talk about the North Division and who's going to make the playoffs there, and a listener question about Sean Monahan. Thanks for listening. Enjoy another episode of Flames Unfiltered. All right, Flames fans, thanks for joining us again. It's a little tougher to do these when things aren't going our way. When it's fun. It's not so fun. We'll push through those, deep down, as positive or negative as we are, we still love this team. So, early last week, I guess it already is now, or late last week, Calgary in Montreal, 2-1 loss for the Flames, a critical 2 points squandered. I don't know. Montreal's trying to lose this. Calgary should be stepping up, but that's not happening so much. Then the other night, Ottawa in Calgary, a 4-2 loss, and was quite possibly one of the top 25 most painful Flames games we have all ever watched. Flames are 2-5-1 against the Senators this year. Senators who've been the whipping boys of the league. It's sad. It's a lot of points squandered. We'd be in the playoffs if we didn't squander all those points. And not good news on the way as we play Ottawa one more time in May. And that is not good because I can't imagine what the emotions for that game will be. Because at that point, I'm guessing we'll be long gone and who knows what we'll see. It seems like Ottawa has so much more to play for than Calgary right now, and I can't even believe I'm saying that. All right, time to shake the pot, stir it up a little bit, and I'm probably going to make some Flames fans mad. But you know what the great thing about sports is? We can all have opinions, and we aren't always going to agree with each other's opinions. We respect them. I'll respect yours. You respect mine. You might think I'm crazy. Let's talk about it, man. Fire me a tweet. Fire me an email. Call us on the fan line. Yeah. Couple things. Unpopular opinions that I have. Matthew Tkachuk is overrated. Yeah. I know. That doesn't mean I don't like him. I think he's overrated. He's taking a step back for sure this year. And when people call him the future captain of the Flames, I'm not saying that can't be the case. I'm saying, should that be the case? And has he given us any information or any examples on why we should believe that should happen besides his last name? Now, when he came into the league, he was trending up. And yeah, I would believe that he would be the top player for the Flames right now and be rolling and shaking and leading this team. But have we really seen that in the last year and a half? No. His playing actions have proven this year that should he be considered for a captain of the future? Probably not. Let's get real now. Matthew Tkachuk is not a great skater. He struggles with his shot. When's the last time you've seen him snipe a goal? His shooting percentage this year is 8.3%. Not good. Now, I will say he is the best tipper in front of the net that there is in the league, in my opinion. Another thing that drives me crazy is how he turns into every check. Instead of driving through the opponent, he turns and tries his ass hit every time. That's fine once in a while, but you can't do that every time. Because when you do that, that takes you out of the play completely. Drives me insane. Does anybody in this team spend more time on the ice than Matthew Tkachuk? Now, in defense of number 19, I think he's just having an off year. And I believe he will rebound. He started this year off really, really good and fizzled into an inconsistent, non-existent player on this team. Do I think he should be the captain? No. Do I think he could be the captain? Yeah. Not with this core. Because I don't think this core and Matthew Tkachuk go well together. And I think the craziness that we saw after the Toronto fallout proves that. Is Matthew Tkachuk trying to be a leader? He's maybe trying a little too hard to be a leader instead of letting it just come into fruition. I think it would. Has Matthew Tkachuk been around losers too much? Well, I think it's affected him. Because I'd go to bat saying that he's in the top 5% of this team for hating to lose the most. And that's a good sign. And that's a sign that makes me want to keep him. Would I consider talking trade with Matthew Tkachuk? Yeah, I would. I think we could get some high-end offensive talent for Matthew Tkachuk. And I don't know that Matthew Tkachuk's a high-end offensive talent. I think he's an offensive talent. I don't know that he's high-end offensive talent. Are the fans wrong about him? Is he just a glorified grinder with a name that we all recognize? I don't know. I've thought that some nights. But my big question with Matthew Tkachuk is, what's he worth? His qualifying offer is going to be in that $9 million range if things keep going like they are. Is he worth that? Do we want to pay that long term for what we've seen? Right now, I'd vote no. I may change my mind come November 1st of next year. I hope I do. I hope I'm freaking dead wrong on this. But it scares me a little bit. Number 2. Michael Stone is way, way better of a defenseman than he receives credit for. For a D-man who was bought out, re-signed, left unsigned, and re-signed, and spent more than a month this year eating popcorn in the press box, it's been pretty good. Really good, in my opinion. Plus minus is even. He's got a goal, assist, 2 points in 10 games. He's arguably, I don't even think arguably, I think he's straight out, flat out, has the best shot from the point on this team. I think this guy's a hell of a value, and I would love it if we re-signed this guy for next year. And a lot of you are freaking out right now because he doesn't have the pretty boy name and we bought him out. Well, we've made poor decisions on signings, and we've made poor buyout decisions too. But buying him out has saved us a lot of money on the cap. So was that really the bad idea? No. I think it's genius that we re-signed him. And I think what he's done since Sutter got here and gave him a chance, which Ward never even gave him a chance, it showed us that he's pretty damn consistent. Is he a top 4 D-man? No. But he's pretty good on the power play with his shot. I feel pretty safe with him in that 5-6 position. Number 3, playing hockey for fun. Does anyone in Calgary look like they're having fun? Have they looked like they've been having fun in the past 2 years? I thought maybe they did a little bit in that Winnipeg series early on, and they were winning. In a business, when nobody working in the business is having fun, it's called a culture issue. Running a hockey team is a business. And a locker room is like a group of employees. And when you have a good culture, you succeed and thrive. When you have a shitty culture, you fail. It's the same in hockey. An example, Sam Bennett. Sam Bennett looked like a miserable piece of shit in Calgary, thus getting the nickname by teammates and media members as Grumpy. Well, was he having fun? No. Was it the team's fault? A little bit. Was it Sam Bennett's fault? A little bit. We control our attitudes. I think Sam Bennett should have had a better attitude. I don't think he's the only player I would say that about. How much smiling do you see on this team right now? And I know a lot of you are like, oh, well, when you win, it creates smiles. But when you work hard, you go to bat for each other, and you play hard and have fun together, you'll win hockey games. Sam Bennett ships down to Florida and watches games, and he's got a smile on his face. And in 3 games, he's got 3 goals, 2 assists. He's +7 and has been second star twice, playing hockey in a top 6 role. That's all I'm saying about Sam Bennett. He's playing and having fun. Hockey is fun. We played as a kid to have fun. Is pro hockey any different? Oh, I know it's a business. And winning breeds fun. But can you be winning and start winning if you're miserable and not having fun? It's a core issue. It's a culture issue in Calgary. It needs to be addressed. An enema of this core needs to happen. And a brand new culture of playing, working hard, and having fun doing it needs to happen, or Calgary will never take that step. Joining Flames Unfiltered now, he's been on the show numerous times. Nate Thomas joins us. You can catch him out on the Hockey Podcast Network. He covers the Anaheim Ducks with a great podcast called The Quack Report. But not only is he a Ducks guy, this guy is a longtime Calgary Flames fan. And yeah, he's feeling the same pain as we are all feeling right now. Nate, good to have you with us.
Thanks for having me on again.
Yeah, it's always fun talking Flames hockey with you, and we have a somewhat similar perspective, but we're a little bit different in a lot of our opinions. But that's always good to have.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Let's start off with a softball easy question right up the middle. On a level of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest, where is your frustration level this year?
I'd say a 7, bordering an 8. I think we've sorted through at least one issue in Jeff Ward, but obviously it wasn't just the coach. As much as I was kind of hammering on it as well, it's not just the coach. There needs to be something changed with, the roster and maybe even a little bit higher. I'm not sure if I actually see Brad Treliving going farther than this summer. So the team needs a little bit of an overhaul in different areas.
We're going to talk about that. That's one of my questions for you, because I'm a little back and forth on that too. One of the things that I think has pushed me so hard on the frustration level this year was, and maybe this is my own fault, but my expectations were high this year. They were really high. Bringing in Markstrom, I love the Tanev move. I was a little frustrated that we didn't shake the core up, but also understood that with the way the season was going into it, it was really hard to shake up a core in the National Hockey League. And I don't know that it's going to be any easier this offseason. But I'm not letting them off the hook this year. I truly believe something needs to happen. But my expectations were really high. Going into the season, where were your expectations?
Mine were pretty high as well. The big thing for me was the tandem pairing of Jacob Markstrom and David Riddick. That was, goaltending had always been kind of the question for us, and it seemed like we had finally a solid, not even just a starter, but like a tandem to go into a shortened season with. It seemed like that should hopefully have been part of the answer. The start of the season didn't really, I guess, help those expectations a whole lot, because the Flames, normally starting out slow, they came out fast and ready to go, it seemed, and everything was going well, and then it all just fell off a cliff, and they couldn't really regain their footing, and that's what really hurt, I think, and made those expectations being so high hurt a lot more.
I also thought that, bringing in Markstrom was good, and I'm not sold on David Rick as a starter in the National Hockey League, but I think he's a high quality backup. And honestly, in Calgary this year, I don't know that he did a good job. He was an adequate backup for us, but I thought goaltending would help. But I think where our biggest downfall was this year is when you don't get production from your top six, you're not. And you can point fingers at Markstrom this year and say he's not having a year that he did last year. You can point fingers at our defense, which honestly, this to me is a lot of this is our top six. And I don't know. That's where I stand on this. I was not a Jeff Ward fan. I was glad to see him go. I knew that wouldn't solve the problems completely. But who do you place the biggest blame on?
I do agree with you. It is the top six. Yeah, I wouldn't put it on the goaltending by any means. Jacob Markstrom, until I guess he got hurt for that little bit there, and
he was
during that, he was lights out. And during that time was the transition to Sutter, right? So he came in, and there's a new coach, a little bit of a different type of system. Noah Adler and I on the Blasty cast had actually interviewed Ryan Leslie. And Leslie had pointed out that, Markstrom is a goalie who thrives on having a lot of shots against, right? That's where he plays his best. But Sutter hockey defense is very low shot, right? And, Mika Kiprusoff was kind of the same way, I think, as Jacob Markstrom. He benefited from high shots, but they kind of found that middle ground eventually that, led to their success, especially in 2004 there. So I think it's just kind of figuring that out, trying to find that middle ground between these two, at least for the next couple of years while Sutter's around. I don't really blame it on the goaltending too much. The defense, Giordano definitely hasn't been up to where we would hope he would be, right? Even with like the decline last season, it's seemed like it's taken another turn for the worst, and you're not really sure even how his last season on his contract is going to look, if he's playing in Calgary or if he's, he allows himself to be exposed for Seattle, which that's coming up in less than 100 days here. So yeah, I agree though. It is that top six. And while it's kind of a mix, I think, of the players themselves and just trying to, like Jeff Ward threw everybody in a blender, it seemed like every second period, right? You can't really develop any chemistry going off of that.
Drove me nuts.
And I think we finally got something of steadiness when Sutter came in. But the big thing, I think, was that pairing of Monahan and Gaudreau. You could just tell, even back to Ward, it just wasn't working as well anymore. And that splitting up, I really, really like that Gaudreau, Lindholm, Tkachuk line. And since that's been implemented, that line has been going off, right? Like what Lindholm's, I think, on a 6-game point streak at the moment. So it's working well. Monahan's with Ritchie and Mangiapane, I think. Ritchie's got to, quit the dump and chase a little bit, but I'd prefer to see Josh Levo in that spot because the couple of games that he played with that second line, I guess if that's what you want to call it, it looked really good, and that line was going off as well. Monahan got some points, and it was going all right. And then, it was Backlund, Lucic, which that's a pairing that you wouldn't think would work, but they
Backlund,
found
Lucic,
some
and Dubé, right?
Yeah, and that's actually been solid for the most part.
In the playoffs too last year. I mean, that's a bad line. Some of our focus in the offseason last year was on these 1-year free agent signings that we had with Nordstrom, Levo, Nestorov, who am I leaving out up front? Simone. I mean, Simone wasn't good and has never gotten a chance ever since. Levo, I think Levo's been fine for the money we're paying him.
Oh, easily. And
I think he's been fine.
I think he should get a couple more minutes, honestly. Like you look at the advanced stats, he's one of the top guys. Like the last I checked, I think like expected goals for, he was like in the top 3 for the team, and I believe like our division even. It was, and ridiculous.
Then and I think of the Nordstrom thing, and I know this is probably not a popular opinion, but seriously, like the guy's awesome on the penalty kill. He freaking blocks shots. He busts his ass harder than 90% of this team. I don't know why people are complaining about Levo and Nordstrom. I don't get it. Like, what the hell did they expect? What did this fan base expect?
My thing with Nordstrom is, yes, he's great on the penalty kill, but that's about it. Everything else I've seen is just...
What did we expect from him?
Yeah, it just hasn't been there otherwise. It would, it's nice to have somebody who's great on the penalty kill, but I'd like him to actually be able to contribute 5-on-5 as well.
I'll bet you money he gets re-signed. Playoffs.
Probably. And same with Michael Stone as well, just because he's had a little bit of a...
I would sign Stone in a heartbeat. He's got the best shot on the team. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. I've always been a Michael Stone fan.
Mm-hmm.
Trade deadlines.
I have more faith. Oh, sorry. I was going to say I have more faith in Stone now taking a shot from the point than I do Giordano, because Giordano just keeps putting into everybody's shin pads.
I'm with you.
I forget who it was on Twitter there, but we were just joking, like, how many shots has Giordano put into somebody's shin pads this year? And I just made the joke. I'm like, Giordano's put more shots at shin pads this season than Patrick Marleau has played games his career.
You're right. You're right. Trade deadline. We saw Sam Bennett exit to Florida, and we saw David Riddick exit to Toronto. Your take on those two moves, and I guess your opinion on what we got in return.
So I'll start with Riddick. I like the move now that I've thought about it a little bit more. Would I have liked to maybe get the second round pick, just because, Toronto is in a position that Freddie Anderson's gone and they're trying to, this is the year, I think this is the best chance for them to win a cup. So would I have liked to see maybe just, pull a little bit more, because I think the Flames almost had leverage in that aspect of okay, we know you want this guy, but we want just a little bit more because you're trying to go for the cup this year, right? It's not, okay, we're trying to make the playoffs or see how deep we can get. We're going for it. So I'd like to see, just try to get a little bit more out of it, even if it was a third and, I don't know, say the third and fourth or something like that. I don't know, but just get a little bit more out of it. But, a third round pick in 2022, still pretty good, I think.
I thought the return was, I don't know. I mean, I saw your tweet and I kind of chuckled, and because I was read all my guys, my Flames network, and I'm like, I kind of see where Nate's coming from, but then I also looked at it in the fact that it's dude, in 2 months we're getting nothing. He's not re-signing here, and if Toronto's saw film on David Riddick, maybe I'm being negative towards David Riddick, and I think the guy's a great guy, but did Toronto really think they were getting a step up on Campbell? And I mean, I don't know. David Riddick's not going to dress in the playoffs.
Yeah, I don't think it was, trying to up on Campbell, but I think it was more just the uncertainty of how long Anderson was going to be out, right?
Yeah.
If you go into the playoffs there, Campbell, I think whether or not Anderson comes back, he's had the couple off games now, but Campbell's been lights out for most of this season, right? Yeah, he's a great goaltender and could be the guy to step up to be that starting goaltender next season for Toronto, right? Because I don't think that Toronto's going to be re-signing Freddie Anderson for the money he's probably going to be wanting. No. Anderson will be going somewhere else, unfortunately.
And you know what? If I was Anderson, I'd give him the big middle finger on the way out, because Toronto fans crucify whoever's in net. I swear to God, the last goalie Toronto fans liked was Felix Potvin. I'm not even.
That's a while ago, hey.
I'm serious. I was a few years ago, when pre-COVID, I was in Toronto sitting at a game, and I was visiting with some Toronto Maple Leaf season ticket holders, and they were bitching about every goalie. And the one guy laughed, and I said, "You guys hate everybody." And he actually laughed, and he's like, "Yeah, you're right. I think the last goalie I liked was Ed Belfour." I'm like, holy shit.
Well, and I mean, they're already getting in on Riddick as well after that game against Vancouver.
Yeah, he's gonna get. He thinks he got tore up in Calgary. Holy shit, he's gonna have a new one in Toronto.
Oh yeah, for sure. I guess going over to Sam Bennett now, for the Bennett that Calgary has had for the last little while, I like the return. That was actually one that I was like, okay, this is pretty fair actually, and if anything, I think we did pretty well, right? You get a why am I blanking on his name right now? Who we
I know you're.
Yeah, Anyway,
Oh,
searching him up, though, he seems like he's going to be a great player and could fit definitely into the type of system that it seems like the Flames are trying to develop here a little bit with a couple tweaks and whatnot. And a second round pick for 2022 as well. That's great, right? But I was kind of laughing about it because Bennett has 5 points or 6 points now in 3 games with Florida. And it's like, it's amazing what happens when you actually put Sam Bennett with capable players and put him in a position to succeed, right? Like that's what Calgary wasn't doing, I think, the entire time. And I was banging that drum for the last couple of years that they needed to give him an opportunity, right? And like even earlier this season when they put him with Monahan and Gaudreau, he was putting up points.
absolutely.
Right? And then you just throw him back down to the fourth line like he's nothing. Like it's understandable why he wanted to go.
I've always been a Sam Bennett fan because I've always took his draft position and threw that in the garbage. Because it really doesn't matter. Like once they're on the roster, like does it really matter if he's a 5th rounder or, it doesn't really matter at that point because
exactly. Pavel Datsyuk was a 6th rounder, was he not? Like,
Johnny Gaudreau was like a 7th rounder, I believe. I could be wrong on that, but I know it's late.
I think it was, or was it 5th? Anyway,
it could be 5th or 7th, but irregardless, I've always been a Sam Bennett fan. I've defended him a ton. Now I've been mad at him a ton too because he didn't do his part in a lot of things too. But my defense on Sam Bennett was, if you look back to his career in Calgary, was he ever put on a line, a top 6 or even top 9 role, and left there for more than 5 games?
No,
he gets freaking shuffled everywhere all the time. Like, how do you ever expect him to sink in and fit? Like, he gets shuffled every single night.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
that was always my defense.
Yeah, and it's even worse when he's succeeding in a spot and then you move him, right? Like he's not, like you keep talking about, he didn't reach his potential or that. Well, the Flames never gave him a chance. It's hard to reach the potential of a 4th overall pick when you're put on the 4th line with like Nordstrom and guys like that, right?
Yeah. And you know what else Sam Bennett's doing in Florida? He's playing with a smile on his face.
Yes, he is. With the gorgeous Lanny mustache as well, carrying the number 9 on his back.
Didn't do that in Calgary. Didn't get that opportunity in Calgary. Okay. Do you think there's any chance the Flames make the playoffs?
Slim pickings, but I know it's only been 2 games. Vancouver's surprisingly looking, I think, better even than they expected coming out of that whole COVID fiasco that they had. And they have games in hand. I don't see Calgary making it. I think it's honestly a Vancouver-Montreal battle. If we do make it, we're going to just squeak in and get knocked out pretty quickly. So I would actually rather see us just, take the time to develop a little bit more, maybe. As much as that sucks, but
our odds are very, very slim. And the other night against Ottawa, not last night, the night before against Ottawa, pretty much, I think, sealed the deal.
Just the Ottawa series as a whole is absolutely pathetic. I think the fact that we can, beat teams like Toronto, I think the series is like 3-4 in favor of Edmonton or something like that. But we're able to play and win against all these other teams that are in the playoff positions that are great teams, and we can't do anything against the Ottawa Senators, who their oldest guy is maybe 27, something like that. Like it's a very young team to say the least. Yeah. And I think it honestly all just comes down to effort. Any Ottawa Senators game that you tune in, it doesn't matter who they're playing throughout this North Division. They are playing with as much effort as they can, putting in 110% every single night. And I know that's a cliche, but that's exactly what they're doing. And, you'd think the Flames would realize, hey, we actually have to put that in there.
So who does that
to
fall
be able to
on?
beat these guys? I want to say coaching and the captains.
It comes down to the core.
Yeah.
We've been talking about this same crap for 5 years. And the common denominator, Monahan, Gaudreau, Giordano, and I hate putting him in it because I like him, but Giordano, I mean, we've changed 9 coaches. It can't be the coaches.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I know 9's an exaggeration. I'm trying to. It's that bad.
Yeah.
Will we see change this summer?
I get the feeling we might. And if I'm Brad Treliving, actually the first guy I look at is Sean Monahan. I think I was on the other side of this last summer, before the season started, and we were talking. But I think Monahan's the guy. If you're looking to move somebody,
So who
that's
takes
the guy you're looking at
Monahan?
first. Oh, see, that's a question, eh? I mean, I want to say
You're a GM. John Monahan makes 6.375. Are you taking that contract?
I think if you can kind of pull what Florida's so far doing with Sam Bennett and making that money worthwhile, maybe it.
That's my problem. Like, I agree with you. I would like to see Sean Monahan move too. And it sucks because for years I called him my favorite player on the team, but he is just not producing. I think
until his second, until Tkachuk's second year, I was still saying Monahan would be the next captain. So yeah, it's definitely rough. Like, this is I mean, he's been on the Flames now for 7 years, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was grade 10 for me was his rookie season. But
so what do we do with Gaudreau?
That's a guy I think you have to keep because
I know this is where we differ. So this is where we argue. I knew this was coming. I was ready for it. So
I think you're seeing more out of Johnny Gaudreau because he has a centerman that it's even sometimes like coaches, right? Eventually just kind of falls apart. It doesn't quite work as well anymore. The guys aren't listening or that sort of thing, right? I think that's kind of what happened with Gaudreau and Monahan to a point. It just wasn't quite working there anymore. So Gaudreau needed a different centerman. And I know everybody's been wondering about Jack Eichel or that sort of thing. You know, if I could make Monahan in a package for Jack Eichel, would do it in a heartbeat, right?
I'd put anybody on our team in a package for Jack Eichel.
Yeah. But I mean, imagine it probably wouldn't work because one of these guys would have to be included probably. But imagine a top line of Eichel, Gaudreau, Tkachuk. That would be insane. And I know that's kind of like fantasy thinking or that, but
wait a second though. And now this is where I'm really going to look like an ass. What are we getting from Tkachuk and Gaudreau? Seriously, what are we getting from them?
Tkachuk has been kind of an anomaly this year.
He's been
that's
brutal.
the only really word I can think of. It's not him, and it was ever since that Toronto game where the guys supposedly didn't see the puck flip at him, right? And
I know I keep going back to that, but I've talked to him numerous times too.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, look at how he was playing before that. Something happened there, and it's more than that puck flip that did something to Tkachuk this year.
I can place a bet on what happened.
What's that? You think it was something in the locker room, or?
I think some of the core said, "Enough of that shit. We don't need to be dealing with that. We don't want to deal with that. So you're on your own if you do that." And that was,
but the issue I have with that is that was literally the only emotion that this team had. You stripped away the only emotion that you have.
I'm with you, but it's because I don't know. I am like, if I have to listen, and this sounds, I'm not trying to pick on him, but if I have to listen to frickin' Sean Monahan one more time in a post-game presser say, yeah, we got to be better. We can't allow. I mean, if I got to hear that one more frickin' time, I'm going to die.
Yeah, that one I will definitely agree with. And it's not even, you even haven't had more emotion in your voice. It's normally, yeah, we got to be better. We got to play harder. We got to get the pucks in deep. It's just the monotone. He has anything else that he would rather be doing. One of my favorite things on Twitter is the boring Sean Monahan Twitter account.
Oh, I love it too.
And I'm just like, okay, yeah, he doesn't want to be at this presser. He wants to go shopping for broccoli right now. That's what he's excited for.
So let me get back to this Gaudreau thing with you so we can fight about this. Do you think there are two parts to this question? Do you think Johnny Gaudreau actually re-signs with the Flames?
I think he does. And that's not, honestly, that's more based off of some of Matt Stajan's comments. Just because, he is, I mean, if you want to talk about an insider, that would be the guy because he played with them, right? So
and I like Stajan and I trust Stajan.
Yeah, so like as much as
I think he knows a boatload more that he's not telling us, which he can't.
Yeah. And as much as, like guys, like great guys like Ryan Leslie and that are the insiders as well, it's different from, say, like a media guy, and that's how you know him, compared to someone who turned media after sitting beside you in the locker room, right? You're always going to have, being on a team with somebody, even if it's just for a year, creates a completely different type of bond from anything else, right? And so I think that kind of leans into it. And Stajan shooting down Eric Francis a couple of weeks ago when, Francis was kind of going off a little bit, saying that Gaudreau and Monahan wanted to leave Calgary, and Stajan saying, no, they like it here. They want to be here. I'll believe that out of Stajan's mouth any day.
Yeah. But I'm not disagreeing with Stajan at all. But here's the second part to this question.
All right.
Johnny Gaudreau is currently being paid 6.75. I'm betting my hand that he's not going to want to take a pay cut and that he's not going to want to sign for the same amount. How on God's green earth, after what we've watched the last 4 years, do we give him more than 6.75?
I can see the conundrum there. If I'm looking at the player that I think he can still be, and that's with making some roster moves, right? Like getting him a quality center, like a guy like Lindholm or somebody else, say a Jack Eichel or whoever, right? Like you have to, it's what the Flames didn't do with Sam Bennett, was work with him at the same time, right? To make something work in order for the whole club to be successful. I think if Gaudreau has that quality center with him, like an actual number one guy, it's no problem. Because when Monahan was acting as that number one center, was that 2 seasons ago, Gaudreau put up 99 points. No problem.
But didn't do anything in the playoffs, though.
Yeah, that's true. but then again, neither did that entire team.
I know. And that's what I want changed.
Yeah.
I'm with you. Like, I'm not trying to be a hater. I'm just like, I can't, like, I used to, when I watched the Flames, be like, God, I'm just happy this team makes the playoffs. Well, I've graduated from that now because I'm looking at my lifetime and it's like, I'd like to see them raise the cup again in my lifetime. So I am not accepting the fact that we just make the playoffs. Like, I want to make some noise in the playoffs. And I look at our roster and I'm like, God, are we set to make are we like to make some noise? And I don't think our roster is even close. And yeah, it's fun to talk about Jack Eichel, and I've been doing it just like you, and I've been trying to think of all these other guys, but it's like, how are we getting them? Like, how are we getting them? You know?
It's a little bit unfortunate for Jack Eichel, as much as there has been I think it was Darren Dreger actually a couple days ago had said that Jack Eichel might have played his last game in Boston, or not in Boston, sorry, in Buffalo. But the team that's been coming out a lot more in terms of Jack Eichel rumors has been the LA Kings.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure what they really give up, because they're, as much as they're trying to go for a playoff spot right now, they're only 5 points back. They're also still in a rebuild, right? Like, they can benefit greatly from the picks that they have. I don't know how much Jack Eichel really puts them forward either. So I think Eichel's unfortunately kind of stuck in Buffalo. That's where he'll be for the next little while, but
he's gonna, oh boy, they're gonna have to put that guy in suicide watch, because that's gonna be a freaking mess, man.
Well, I mean, like, look what Buffalo did to Ryan O'Reilly, like almost made him quit, right?
God,
and
I love
season
Buffalo.
Later he goes to a team that, is doing semi well, even, right?
Like,
actually for only like half a season was doing well and won a cup, and he wins a Conn Smythe as well. So
like, I cheer for Buffalo because I mean, I've been to the city. I love it. They're a great hockey market. It's great to go to a game there. It's like, I love Buffalo and I cheer for them because they're the small market that cares about their team and does anything for their team, and it's like they just cannot catch a break. It's like their management sits in the office and goes, God, how can we screw this up?
Yeah, basically.
And it
Like,
just
you want to talk about ride or die fans? Honestly, the Buffalo Sabres is the first place you look.
I feel so bad for those guys.
I really do too. Like it's a completely different level of sucking for a decade than the Oilers, right? Like the Oilers were given so many chances, whereas the Sabres just can't get a footing, it seems, for whatever reason. Yeah.
Treliving, does he make it through the summer?
I don't think he does. I think the decision almost comes down to the coaching itself, because he got the chance with Gulletson, right? That didn't work. You bring in Peters. It's kind of like, it's almost like an unwritten rule that you get 2 coaches in your GM time.
Yeah, Peters is not his fault.
Yeah, Peters isn't his fault, but at the same time, I would say it is, because he didn't interview anyone else outside of Peters that summer.
I think Peters is the best candidate, though. I still like that hire. I defend that hire. I still think he's a good coach. Like,
yeah, that's fair. Unfortunately, it just
aside, garbage aside. Yeah. Like, I still think what he was doing with the team was moving us forward.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. I'll agree with that. I mean, like my thing with the interview
who knows
is
how it would have went. I mean, I think it was moving us forward.
Yeah. And then it sounds like he did the same thing again, actually, this last summer, with Jeff Ward. He didn't interview anybody else, and there were other options available. And good options.
But yeah, and I'm not, geez, I am a Brad Treliving lover. I think he's good. And I can't believe I'm defending some of the things he's done, because he has made some bad moves. The thing is with, and I don't know this, but you just kind of read between the lines here, but this organization's never spent money on coaches.
Nope, never.
And I really wish they'd have went and got a Gallant instead of a Ward, because I knew Ward was going to be a disaster, because you got to be a player's coach, but you can't be too much of a player's coach. And I think Jeff Ward made it like a freaking country club, and that's not a good thing, especially for this group.
The playoffs alone made me want to never see his face again.
Horrendous coaching.
I'm sure he's a great guy, but as a coach, it was absolutely horrible. The decision alone that I think turned a lot of Flames fans against him, but especially people, because again, that I was a goalie growing up and everything like that. I was looking at that situation in Game 6, the 3-3 tie. I was looking at that from both Talbot and Riddick's perspectives, and in both, I'm like, I am pissed off.
Yep,
like that is not the right move there.
It was crap.
So, that was horrible.
And then but. So going back to what I was saying, like, I don't think this management's ever given him a green light to spend some money to get a guy like Gallant, or to get a guy. So, it's kind of hard to interview if you don't have the price, the money, or you don't want to waste people's time either. So, I mean, I feel like his hands are kind of tied. I feel like he stays, and the reason I feel like he stays is because he kind of made another kick at the can for himself. Because you can go back and listen to my old podcast. I said this is his last kick at the can with Jeff Ward. But bringing in like a Calgary icon in Daryl Sutter almost gives him another kick at the can. Does that make sense?
My question is, though, is that a Treliving move, or is that a management move? Like an upper move, because, hey, it's a guy who got us to a point. At some point, he has recognition in this city.
Yes.
He's willing to come in.
I think it is a management move that I think Treliving was on board with. But here's the deal. Like, so let's say you get rid of Treliving. Who do you bring in when Daryl Sutter is going to have optimal input? If you keep Treliving, they work as a team to build this. Okay. You get rid of Treliving. Who do you hire and bring as a general manager that's close enough or willing to allow Daryl Sutter's input? Because Daryl Sutter's getting input, or he would have never done this.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I'm kind of at. I thought about this one night. I'm like, yeah, that kind of puts a twist to it that changes things a little bit.
It might make it kind of boys club esque, but somebody who's been up in that front office for a long time, who has a history with Daryl Sutter, is Craig Conroy.
God,
I wonder if you were to
you
give
ready,
him a
though?
chance. Just give him a chance. I don't know. That's just
Yeah,
that's
we
just
keep
one
getting worse
option.
than we are. No, I know, but you know what? I don't. I love Craig Conroy. He's probably one of my favorite guys to listen to talk.
Mm.
But I sure as hell don't want to go down the good old boys network like the Oilers do.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, and that's why I said it might kind of turn it boy group ish or whatever I had said earlier, but that's just the one guy that, because you can promote from within. In that case, he's been around for a long time with the organization, has learned the ropes and so many different avenues of this club, right?
Yeah.
And like this guy for the longest time has
He'd be
ate,
cheap too.
slept, and breathed Calgary Flames hockey, whether he was playing it or he's been part of this management group.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, it'll be interesting.
Yeah, for sure.
How are you going to manage? This will be my last question. I'll let you get on with your evening. How are you going to manage these final 10 plus games that we have left, knowing that hopes are almost impossible? How are you going to handle watching them? What's going to get you excited? What's going to motivate you? Because I'm having a little bit of a motivation problem lately watching this team. I think frustration's kind of set in hardcore with me. So maybe you can counsel me a little bit on how we're going to get through these final 10 and get excited for a Friday night battle with the Habs, which I should be pumped for. That I'm kind of like, oh God, what are we going to see? What advice do you have for me?
Might not be great advice, but what's your favorite drink? you might want a fair bit of that.
I know, isn't that sad? God.
I think it's on the Flames subreddit that they with their game posts they'll put the daily drinking game. I think they still do that, and it's a good time.
God, I would. If we'd had a drinking game with every time Jeff Ward put the team in a blender, we'd be drunk still.
Yeah, that's a finish your drink.
Oh man. Well, we got a little over 10 games to go, and you never know. And we got this summer, we got the draft, and I just can't wait till we can start to see some progress in the right direction, and hopefully soon we will. Thanks again for joining me on the show. It's always fun talking Flames hockey with you, and we can also catch you on the Blasticast, right?
Yeah, you can. I joined on that a couple weeks ago there with Noah Adler, and it's been a lot of fun so far. So it's kind of given me, I can do my Duck stuff and have fun with that still, and be able to talk a little bit more Flames outside of Twitter, especially. So
yeah, we've had Noah on the show, and he's a friend of the show, and we have two good podcasts, and we like I listen to the Blasticast too, and it's glad to have you on that show, and it's always fun listening and getting your perspective on the Calgary Flames. Enjoy what's left of the rest of the season, and maybe right after the season's over, we can chat again.
Sounds good. I would love to do that. So thanks again for having me on.
Inside Edge Hockey News, dropping the gloves and stirring the pot.
All right, Flames fans, time for a little bit of Flames news. Milan Lucic plays his 1,000th game. Did I say that right? They celebrated in Calgary nights later, where he's awarded a silver stick. Too bad that no fans are in the building. Much as the fan base in Calgary has criticized Lucic over the years, and I have too. Smart enough to see his work ethic. Smart enough to see his heart. I'm smart enough to admit now that this guy is doing good for this team. No, he's not worth his salary. We knew that initially. I congratulate him on a hell of a career. With stops in Boston, LA, Edmonton, and now Calgary. He's played 1,002 games, and with 538 points for a big bruising guy, man, it's a hell of a career. And congratulations to the Vancouver, BC native Milan Lucic. Arena problems. I'm not going to dwell on this too much, but it looks like the Calgary Sports and Entertainment Corporation wants another $70 million, more land, control over traffic, And as of right now, the project is on hold. The contract is really, really clear, and this is going to be maybe a slight bump in the road, but due to structural economic factors arising because of supply shocks due to the pandemic, building materials have skyrocketed. It just is a mecca of bad in the building world, whether it's residential, or commercial, and you're seeing it in the United States, and you're definitely seeing it in Canada. We're hoping this gets worked out. We're hoping that this is just a bump in the road, and we continue to get our new arena. And right now, I think as a fan base, we need to relax on this, and as an organization, we need to come off of our stance of leaving town. We have a pandemic to deal with. Let's get past that. Let's get Flames hockey back going, and then let's get this arena situation figured out. We pray that works out in the best. And news from the North in the division section, the Vancouver Canucks come off a COVID layover and beat the Leafs, the number one team in the North, twice, 2 straight games over the top-ranked Leafs. And that gives Vancouver fans a little bit of the hope that as Calgary fans were feeling just 7 days ago. The North currently stands Toronto 61 points in first, Winnipeg 57 in second, Edmonton 56, Montreal 47, Calgary 41, Vancouver 39, and Ottawa bringing up the back end of the panel, 36 points. But boy, has Ottawa been a nemesis for the Calgary Flames. Projected standings. So do we have a chance mathematically of getting to the playoffs? Well, we do, but it is not good. It is just a 3% chance is currently where the Athletic has the Calgary Flames pitted. And yeah, I would say that's about as accurate as it's going to be. I would say it's about a 3% chance. Unfortunately, Vancouver a little bit better chance at 25%. Montreal 73%, Edmonton 99%, Winnipeg and Toronto 100%. Toronto still the favorite out of the North to go to the Stanley Cup at 17%. We'll see what happens there as they've hit a few bumps in the road lately. I still got my eyes on those Winnipeg Jets. I like that hockey team. And I think that team is flat out made for the playoffs. On to listener question, we get a listener question via Twitter. The question is, what is Sean Monahan's current trade value? Well, sadly, I think it's very limited. If you think this is the first time that Calgary is trying to shop Sean Monahan, you're wrong. They've been doing this for 3 years, and I have heard that in previous years, a couple deals were really close to happening and fell through. The real question is, and this is the part that scares me the most when it comes to the thought of trading Sean Monahan. And I'll preface this by saying that I like Sean Monahan. I think he's a great guy. His emotions are nil to void, but I actually like that about him. I have a Sean Monahan jersey hanging right behind me. I've always been a fan, but he's frustrated the hell out of me lately. And I don't understand why he's taking a step back, why his shooting percentage is so dropped. And I don't understand where we got Sean Monahan. He was pegged to be our number one center, has never panned out. And it's kind of like the Sam Bennett thing. It's become frustrating. But the biggest problem is that he makes 6.375 and will be for 2 more years after this one. Who are we trading to that thinks that taking on $6.375 million a year for Sean Monahan is a good idea? Producing at a $3 million pace, getting paid $6 million, we're not going to get a good return. Not at all. I think the chip to be traded is Gaudreau because I think our return would be better. And I am deathly afraid he doesn't re-sign here. So what would we even want to get? I think you'd want to bring in a player that's NHL caliber and a replacement for him. Well, we're not going to get somebody better. We're not going to win that trade. You can't win a trade when the player's at an all-time trade value low. Now, that doesn't mean I don't think we shouldn't move him, because we may gain better strengths by having that cap space available. I'm back and forth on that. I go back and forth on that. I think Gaudreau is going to be much easier to move. I know some fans freak the hell out by the thoughts of Gaudreau being gone, but I think we have to come to terms with, is Gaudreau going to re-sign here? And I know everybody that's listening to this can be like, what are you, like, smoking the same thing that Eric Francis is smoking? And you can call me crazy like all these fans hate on Eric Francis. That's one thing I agree with. I also respect Matt Stajan's statements that he said that Monahan and Gaudreau both like it in Calgary. And I do believe they like it in Calgary. I do. It's been a freaking country club here with some of the coaching. But that's about to change. And are they going to like Daryl Sutter for 2 years? And the better question, is Daryl Sutter going to be able to put up with their style of play for 2 years? And I vote a big no on that one. And that's why I think one, maybe two of these guys are going to get moved this offseason.
Get all your Flames Unfiltered podcasts, team news, team updates, and highlights at flamesunfiltered.com.
Game preview time, and you'd think I'd be excited as hell to talk about this one. As we get set for a Friday, Saturday, Monday 3-game set at home at the Saddle Dome with the Montreal Canadiens. And yeah, this can move us technically. If we get all 6 points and they get 0, we are tied for a playoff spot. It's there, but it's almost a miracle. Could we win all 3 games? Yeah, I think it's capable. But we're going to have to see a hell of a lot better effort than we saw against Ottawa. And I'm not trying to be Debbie Downer, but seriously, I don't know that it's possible. Coming up next week, it has been a complete disaster trying to get a HOTMIC game to not get canceled. We started off really good this year. We had a whole bunch of them and things were clicking along and everything was wonderful. And we were having HOTMICs like crazy. And then the schedule started changing because of COVID. And we've struggled to have a HOTMIC for 4 weeks in a row. We're back next week, April 29th versus Edmonton, Thursday night, HOTMIC game of the week, giving away some prizes. And jerseys on the line still. Yes, it is. We're giving away hockey cards each and every night. And you're wondering, what in the hell is a HOTMIC game of the week? It is a Calgary Flames Unfiltered watch party hosted by me. We sit back, watch a Flames games together, talk Flames hockey, complain, bitch, cheer about the team, and talk about the players who we think are producing and who we don't think is doing a darn bit of good. It's great fan interaction. It's prizes are given out. It's fun. It's a good time. It's easy. Grab your phone, grab your iPad, download the HOTMIC app, set up an account for free. It's easy. Search Flames. You'll see the Join Flames Unfiltered group. Click on that button, and you'll see Thursday night next week. We're set up for Flames versus Oilers. Click on that. Get in on the watch party. You interact. We send you hockey cards, and you get a big chance to win a Calgary Flames Blasty jersey, as we've got that promotion going on this year. It is fun. It is a good time. We've met some great Flames fans on that this year, and I look forward to next Thursday night. Please, no more COVID schedule changes. It's driving me crazy. We are back another week. We're back again next week. Yes, we are. For another Flames counseling session as we get down the stretch run here. And God, I would love to be telling you and talking to you next week about 6 points earned against the Habs and back in the playoff race, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll also discuss playoff races throughout the National Hockey League. And yeah, it's a little bit disappointing because I expected this team to be in the mix, but they're not. We'll see. Who knows? 6 points against the Habs would change everything. Thank you all for listening. We truly appreciate it. Help us out on social media. Join us, follow us. We'll talk Flames hockey with you at Flames Unfiltered. Subscribe on YouTube at Inside Edge Hockey News. Get on over to Apple Podcasts where you can rate, review, subscribe, and it'll come right to your inbox every single week, and you can listen to us. Good Flames talk. It's always fun. Thanks so much for joining us. We will see you next week, Flames fans.
Get connected. Flames Unfiltered can be found on Twitter at Flame Unfiltered. And also make sure you check out our Facebook page at Flames Unfiltered. Check out host Brad Burud on Twitter at Brad Burud. And if you like what you hear, rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. You can find Flames Unfiltered on all the major podcast players. And consider subscribing to Inside Edge Hockey News on Patreon. That'll get you exclusive content and much more. Thanks again and enjoy the hockey action.
Play on! Yeah, baby! Play on! Yeah, baby!
Thanks for tuning in to Flames Unfiltered. Check back for more action-packed Calgary Flames talk. This has been a production of Inside Edge Hockey News Radio, copyrighted and distributed by the Inside Edge Hockey Media Group.